So having gone through this, having done that, we need to go through each of our services to be sure that we're actually capturing all the endpoints required to fully access the services offered by the TCS accountant. So actually I will go into the business logic, and first I'll go to the accounting service, and notice we have get accounts, which actually gets all the accounts in the system, and we have get postable accounts. So let's go through this point and get so we have get accounts, and we can actually do this. We can get postable accounts. So this is get postable accounts endpoint, and this one is postable accounts, and that is one endpoint. The next endpoint we should create for is get accounts by business account classification, and we should also have that. So we can get account by ID, and we can do this. We can duplicate this and get account by business account classification. That should be another endpoint. So here we will get account, and we see. So here we can just actually say business account classification. Sorry, let's put this inside here. So we can here say accounts. How do we map this to make it actually better? So we can put accounts by business account classification. Let's say accounts, and we say business account classification. And here we can say, we can get this URL to be business account classification ID. This is business, this should be double S. So that should be the name of our URL, and that should be business account classification ID. That is get accounts by business account classification. That is another service. The next one we need to do is get accounts by account type. So if we get an account type, we should be able to return all the accounts in that account type, and that is ideal. So we can now further duplicate this line of code, choose and get accounts by account type, and tell us the account type in here. And we'll get all the accounts in that account type for you. So the next one will definitely be get accounts by parent account. So we've done get accounts by account type, and we can also do get accounts by parent account. That will be get account by parent account, and we just pass in parent account ID, and that is fair and direct enough for us to understand, and we can pass in these parameters like this. And as a matter of fact, let's put this can be on one line, I think so, and this can also be on one line, and we have those endpoints. So let's check the service again. And we have save sub account, elevate to control account, adjust to postable account. And these are 3 more endpoints we need to create. So this was create account. The next one will definitely be create or save sub account. Let me check it again. It's save sub account, but that is not ideal. So we'll say create sub account. So this should be create sub account, and this should be sub account, and that should have the signature for the parent account. And we should go ahead and elevate and adjust to postable account. So this is actually a point. So let's come in here, and what suits that better? Let me put that in here first. Let's copy this instruction and put it in here, and copy this out of here and put it in here. And we can actually make this lowercase as usual. Elevate to control account. So we would say pass in the account ID as usual, and that could also be the name of the endpoint. Elevate to control account. The next one should be something of similar sort, which is adjust to postable account. You can pass in the ID if it satisfies the condition. We should be able to adjust to a postable account, and that should do that for us. So at the end of the day, we have all these endpoints, 12 endpoints for just the account. Alright, so, and we need to have implementations for these 12 endpoints. So to do this, we can start from where we don't have postable accounts. So we need to get postable accounts and list of all accounts. Provides a list of all accounts. So that is what that does, and we can come in here and duplicate this to this map. This will actually be doing the endpoint here. It will be the second one, which is get postable accounts. So here will be get postable accounts. Sorry. So this would be get postable accounts like that, and here will be map get postable accounts, and that is the name of that endpoint. And here we will be doing the basic thing of get postable accounts. We should have that in here, get postable accounts, and that is straightforward. If you notice very well that we've been using very direct queries, not asynchronous queries for this operation. In real production, I will use asynchronous queries, but async functions to run this. Alright, asynchronous methods to execute this, but let's leave that for another series. I just want you to get the concept right at first. So this will get the list of all postable accounts. I think that's the name, postable accounts in the system, alright? And that is fair, that is what that get postable does. And the next one is get accounts by business account classification. And we can go ahead and do that. Get accounts by business account classification. So we should actually do this and duplicate this. And we can get accounts, map accounts, get accounts by classification. And here we can call the get accounts by business account classification, and you should notice that this endpoint actually has, we need to pass in a value here, and the value here is business account classification, and that should come from the route. So from route we can pass in the business account classification. So we do not have naming issues. Let me just copy it from here like this and put it in here. And we can come here and get, instead of possible accounts, we'll just get by business account classification, and that is basically what we'll do, and pass in the value that we get, and that solves the problem. So this is a GUID, sorry, and that is perfect. Then we need to do that for, we need to do that again for account type and parent account. So that is the same thing. So we have done for get accounts by business account classification, and that is what we will get in return. We also need to implement for in a more typical scenario, we could actually return no content in most cases, but it's okay. Let's just be doing this, and get by account type is the next one. So there should be a way of actually getting an account by account type. And you see we are using our interfaces here, meaning that assuming we come up with some form of change in the back-end implementation of our business logic, it doesn't change this code at this point in time. So we'll copy that and put in here, and here we would have account type. Account type is basically of an ID, so this should be ID of integer, sorry. And here we can pass in into account type, which is this person account type here, and this is actually get by account type. And that is what that service does. So this map get account by account type. So this is the endpoint, and we have another one here that says get by parent account. So we need to do that as well. So this is get by account type, get by account type, and we have another one that is get by parent account, and that is equally going to be like this, and get by parent account. So here we get accounts by parent account, and this we will return a parent account ID, and here we return a parent account ID as well. And here will be get by parent account. Get by parent account, and that is what we have. So we have implemented for this, so we need to implement for create sub account, and we need to create account. All right, so we have this implementation for creating an account. So we need to have this for create sub account, map create sub account. Here we are going to return a sub account data object. That is correct, and we will save sub account as usual, and that is what this will be. we would also write for updating sub account. Is that necessary? I don't think that is necessary at the moment. Update account should actually take care of update sub accounts. Alright. So we have map delete account, that is okay. So adjust the postable account, that is the next one. That adjust the postable account is a put request. And create sub account. Let's just be sure that we've actually created sub account. Map create sub account, and this is create sub account. And that is a put request. So the last two are put requests. So we would need, let's be sure that this was actually a put request. Here it is. So let's copy this and put them here. And we say this is going to be in this, it was the name of this endpoint again. This endpoint was going to is elevate to control account. Let's do that so we can reduce the scrolling. Elevate to endpoint account, that is the name. And elevate account, that should be it. And the only thing we need is the account ID that we want to elevate. And here we'll get the account and make sure that it exists. If it does exist, we will go ahead and say restore the elevate to control account and pass in the account ID. Account ID, I think that is correct implementation for that. And the next screen, so this one will be elevate an account to a control account. And that's the endpoint for you to do that. To elevate an account to this endpoint, that should be the name. And here to elevate an account, and we can do that. Alright, that is basically straightforward. So we can also copy this elevate account to for make adjustable, adjust account to postable account, and that name is adjust to postable account. So elevate account map. This map update map elevate account, just let's do that. This one will be map adjust account. Adjust account, here you just need to pass in the ID and we'll just get the account, and here it will adjust to control account, adjust to postable account, and that is what we need. And here we just do the basic thing as usual, and the endpoint here will be as necessary adjust to postable account. So this one is elevate, this one adjust an account to postable So to adjust an account, whether you want to make it a postable or not postable, you just can use that word. Just put this, always remember that this adjust the account to adjust an account, make a put request to this endpoint. Alright, so this is also map put adjust to postable account, and that is what it is. The next thing that I just realized is that we have it's as if I've forgotten something. So we created this adjust the postable account. Okay, sorry, I remember. So the elevate here, there is actually a problem. We say elevate. So instead of just elevate like that, that is the actual word we should use. That's the actual word we should use to elevate an account. And we have all those accounts there. So we need to come to account configuration, which is here, and add the rest of the functions to it. So here we can say route builder dot map, route builder dot map. You can see the adjust account. That's the first one I can pick. There's supposed to be 12. There's 5. There's 7 more, and we can duplicate that, and we can change this to dot map get account. Map get account by classification. Let's do that. Get account by account type. That should be there. And we can duplicate that. Get account by parent account. That should be there. And we can also duplicate that by, I think that is the 3 initial ones. Let's come here, get account by parent account. Then we can go to create sub account and the elevate account. Get postable accounts. That is beautiful. I forgot that. So here we can duplicate this again, get postable accounts, and we can come here and we can map adjust account, and we can duplicate this, and we can say map sub account, map create sub account, and that is it. And we can also do the final one, map elevate, then map elevate account, and that's 12. So we have 12 endpoints for just the account object or the account service. And we can go ahead and do the same thing for journal service and be sure that we are properly done with the endpoints. So having said that, I will come to journal service. So the journal service, we have this journal service contract, get journals, get by date range, get journal entries by account. And this is a different type of query. Don't worry, we'll see why this is so. So get journals by the range is the next one, and get journals by entries, get journal entries by account. Those are the 2 things for the journal endpoint. So let's go to journal endpoint service and make sure we have those 2 configured. So the first one is get journals by date range, and that takes in 2 date. And so let's get journals, and we can duplicate that, journals by date range, and get journals by date range. And here we have 2 journals. The first one is actually a begin date, and we can put that in here as begin date. And the second one is actually end date. We can put the second like end date. We can say start date and stop date. Alright, let's change this to start date and end date. Nice. Alright, let's check that again. This was begin date and end date. Let's keep it to begin date and end date. So begin date and end date. And we have those 2 parameters that must be specified. And we have the next one is get journals by entries by account. And what we need to do is just come in here and come to journal endpoint services. Duplicate this. So this is get journal entries by account. That is better. And here we'll put this as journal entries by account. And let's get this out. And make sure this is lowercase. And we pass in the account ID. But that is not complete because we should be able to get a period, a start and end period for those journal entries. But don't worry, we can do that. So the next thing is, I think for journal service, that is what we have for now. And we can stop there for now, get journal entries per account, and we pass in the account ID. So here we need to do the very first thing, get journal entries by date range. That is the very first option. So copy this and put it in here. So this is map get journals by date range. That should be the object by date range. And that should be, we need 2 of these. So by the way, so let's put this in here as well. Let's put this in here as well. So the first one is map get journals by date range. And here you're passing in, from the route, you're passing in a date time. Let me say date only. A date only parameter, and that is going to be begin date. Begin date. And you're also passing in from route again. From route, we're going to pass in another parameter that is date only as well. Date only as end date. And those are the 2 things we need to provide. And here we can just say get journals by date range. And we can pass in begin date. And we can pass in end date. And there is a problem because what we are using here is actually a date time property. So we can actually change this. But ideally, I'm just saying that for now. Ideally, this should be actually a date only property. So let's change it to date time. And that is okay for us. So we will get a result there. So the next one is get journals by journal entries by account. That is the next one. So we can copy this, and that will be get journal by account. This is journal entries by account. And put it in here. This is journal entries. Alright. And that is the next request. So this actually should be, the service here should be get journals by date range. Get journals by date range. And here should be get journals by date entry. Get journal entries by account, sorry. Alright. So here we just need to change this to account. And here we will pass this to account. And return by account. By account. And that is good to go. We're good to go. Get journals by account. Is that not the name of that service? So get journals, journal entries by account, sorry. And that will return the journal entries that are associated with that account. And here we have done the basic 2 things we need to do. And the basic 2 things we need to do, we've done them. So we can come to our endpoints configurations and add the 2 services. So we can say route builder dot map get journals by date range, and that is good. And we can also do this instead of getting journals by date range, get journal entries Get journal entries by account, and those are the two services we have to provide. So we need to do this, and we are good to go. So let's restart this application and have a look at it if we have all the specifications. Okay. Be surprised if it does. If it does run. It does. So we actually have all these endpoints specified for the accounts, and you can see how much. As you can see, we have possible accounts. There's a duplicated information here, but we can see all the endpoints for an account listed here. We can see the same thing for the journal as well, and this is what we want. And you see this is green, though there is a small, we did not change the descriptions here. We should do that, and we are good to go. So let's go ahead and change the descriptions. This gets all the list of accounts, and that is business account classification. Let's go inside the business accounting classifications. Now that is account. Let's come to account endpoint service. Let's come to the details of this details. Map by parent account provides a list of all accounts in all sub accounts. Use the word sub accounts in an account. In a control account, use the word control account. And that is one. And the next one is map accounts by account type. Provide list of all accounts in an account type in the specified and that is another one. And we can have this description for map list of all accounts in the business in the specified business account classification. And you can go ahead and have my postable accounts. We already have that. That is good. We have this, and we have this. Let's go back to another one which I'm sure we do not have. Okay, we did this for the elevator account and the rest of the accounts. And so let's restart this and have a look at it again. So if you're reading through this, we can actually get this provides list of accounts. Yeah, this is correct. This is correct. Yeah, this is correct, and that is good. Let's come to account journals. Provide the list of journals by date range by the specified date or journal entries in that account. Alright, so we can go ahead and change this in the journal as well. So this is provide a list of journals in the specified date range. And here provide the list of journal entries in this account. And that is what I want. So you can go ahead and improve this as much as you can. And you can go ahead and add so many things to this. But I just wanted you to have the foundational knowledge of how you can actually build an endpoint and utilize it successfully. So Doing this, we can restart this endpoint and check it out. We will show that the code behind this endpoint is going to run successfully because we've tested all of them. But in an ideal situation, we'll actually write an integration test for these endpoints to make sure they actually return what they are supposed to. And that will be done in my next video series, in a particular video series in .NET Associates 2 or the .NET Progressive. So we've done that, and some things I missed. I should have put, like, for instance, you have the account data object schema. It tells you what that you should expect for that account data object, so you can know how to wrap your endpoint. And we have the sub account data schema that tells you what you should have to send a request. But there is something else that I'm missing. I'm actually missing the specification for their account type for those who are going to build against this API. And I will show you what I do traditionally in most of my systems. So let's go ahead and do that, and we'll be done with this section of the series. All right. And what we need to do is we can come in. Let's see the journal. Let me say something. The journal data object. Okay, it specifies the journal entry and it tells you nullable true. No, this can be nullable. That is wrong. So so this is actually very okay. This is good, and this is actually ideal. All right, and it tells you it takes a collection of journal entries for you to make. All right, and it specifies the account ID you want to make the entry for. We can actually improve on this and make this much better with actual details that are associated with the schema. With the schemas. So let's go in. Let me show you the final thing for this series. Remember, we have constructs that are basically constants in our system. For instance, we have these constructs, and how do users of the system understand the mappings of these constructs? And that is what I want to show you, how I implement them. So basically, we will delve into our, let's close all this at the same time. Close all these tabs. And let's go back to our business logic here. And remember that we have a service. I can return a service here that does all that for me. So I'll say add a class here. And the class here, I'll call it, it's going to be a static class. I'll call it accounting constructs, account system constructs. And in this system, I would make it a static class. So this is going to be public static class account system constructs. In here, I will have the first method like public static list of objects. And this list here is going to take a normal .NET object. There are so many ways you can do this, but I typically prefer this way of doing it. So I would say this is going to be get let me see, get list. Let's just say the very first contract is counting methods. Sorry for that. Counting methods, and that is what we will do. And here I would instantiate a new list. So say for list equals new list of object, and basically that is it. Then what I will do basically is I'll return this list of objects. This is basically a generic function that I'm going to do, and I think I can actually write a generic method for this, but for learning's sake, let me keep it simple. So here I'm going to loop through all the .get values, all the values in my counting method. I'm going to loop through all of them, and all my counting methods. Here I need to, because this is enum takes a type, alright, and we need to specify that this is type of its user's reflection on this point in time. So that is what we need. Type of a counting method. And what I will do is I'll construct a new object, list.add. This time I will not say item, I will form a new object, new, and I'll pass in the type of object. I'll give the object a value, and I'll say this should be equal to item. So then I would give another property or description, description, and this will be a enum.getName. So the getName property here will actually return the actual name of the string representation. You see that property returns the string representation of that enumeration. So in this case, if it has two overload method, one takes a enum, the other one takes a string representation of the enum type. So I would say type of, and pass in the item, type of a counting method, and here I would pass in the value of the item, and that should return a list for me, and that is basically what I will do for all my objects. And we can have a look at this. Let's have a look at this, and this is what my users of the system will get to see. And here we can say, instead of saying item, we can change this to value, and let's rename this item to value, like that, and we will see how this looks like. Do I need to do this every time? We could, I'm thinking how to extract a method from this that can be very fast based on an accounting period. So we have this, and I would look for a way of actually passing in, and let's do this first. Let's be sure what we're doing. And I'll come here and create a construct service. Let me say add a endpoint for all the constructs as usual, and I'll add a new class, and let me take a simple class and new start. In this case I would take the accounting period class. Let me just duplicate it and call it, renaming counting constructs endpoint service. That is what I want to call it. That is what I want to call it. So here we are going to call it accounting constructs endpoint service, and we have a couple of constructs in there, and the first one is accounting methods. So we need something that returns accounting methods, and unless there is methods, and unless there is a server error, this should not return an error. So this one is key value or constants. constants and mappings. For those who want to use our endpoints, you can actually go there and check it. So the very first one here will be get accounting methods and mod get accounting methods. That is what I want. And that is what we are. So here, instead of actually returning all this with this, we just need to change this. So here we would just do a basic thing, remove this, and go to here and actually return a accounting service, which is a static file, accounting construct endpoint service dot get accounting methods, and that is all we need to do. Not this one, sorry, accounting constructs service. That is it. Is inside our file, and let's see, what did I call it? Account system constructs. Alright, account system constructs, and that is what we call it. And let's have using business account logic, and that is very direct. We can just go inside and call accounting methods, and that is what we want. So let's go to the application, and here we will give it the name which is correct, and we will remove every other mapping we have on this file because they are duplicated, and that is good, very good. And here is going to be a list of accounting methods and their values, so they can use it. So let's run our application and see what we get from that. So we actually have account, and we have accounting period. We're not showing this here because we did not add it in our, let's remove this first. We did not add it in our endpoint configurations. So here we can come in here and actually specify this endpoint constructs. So we would come to something simple. Let's come in here and just copy this and put it in here and put use constructs endpoint. And here we wouldn't do route builder thought. Just do the basic routing mapping. It's map accounts period constructs. I think that's the name. Let's go have a look at it. System constructs. No, not this one. That is accounting constructs endpoint. This is map get accounting periods. This name is wrong. No, that is not the one I want. Oh shit. There's a problem with the file naming convention. I think we should change that. This name is actually this one. So let's copy this name out. Let's change this back to where it belongs. This is this one. So we can stop this at the moment because I'm going to change the files. Rename this. This name here doesn't belong to you. So Control X and put here. This is your name. Control V. That is your name. That is the correct file. I didn't check that properly. And here you are. And you. This is your correct name. So this is the correct name, and we will put that in here. The real name is not mob accounting period accounting methods. Alright. So that is the proper name. So let's come to it. So this is .mob get accounting methods, and that is it. And here we can actually come in here and specify that route builder dot use accounts constructs endpoint, and that is what we need to do. That is basically straightforward and easy. Let's go ahead and run it again and see what's the result when we hit that endpoint. It's basically a GET request, and that is what the users of application should get to see, and that is what they get to use. I can see this popping up. Alright, so I think this is on. And let's chop this again and get another one. This tends to take time to run because it's not out. So let's come to our constants and mappings, and we can see that this provides you with a list of constants, and you can try it out, and you can have the different types of accounting here. So you can check it out, and it tells you these are the different types of accounting you have, and basically that is it. Then you can have access to this and know how to, this is what is available for you to use in the system. So the value 1 is recurl, value 2 is cache. So that is actually working for us, and we can go ahead and construct the service properly. So this is for the accounting periods, and let's construct this in a better way. So let's come back to the system constructs, and it's a static method. Let's go ahead and build this. So let's go ahead and implement this for the rest of the constructs in our system. And by the way, I want to make this a generic method. So let's try this out. So this should be public. Just do this. Let's make this a generic method. And let's just copy this line of instruction and put it in here. And here we'll change this like generate enum values or keys and value. Let me use enum keys and values, because we cannot actually be writing this procedure for all the systems. We need to do the mapping like this. So let's create a generic method that we can, a small engine that we can actually use to do this. So here we will do generate keys and values, and here we would pass in a generic type of T. And let's use that type. We can say enum type. Let's use the word enum type. That doesn't exist. So here we can change this to enum type. Let's use that generic. By convention, we can just use the word T here, so that you may know. But let's just keep the convention T so that you'll not be confused. So you know that it's a generic type. And anything we use and pass in as a type will generate these values and give it to us. And to actually test this out, we can do return. We can use this return, generate enum keys and values, based on what we pass in as the type of enumeration. Here we'll pass in an accounting method. And we can do that. We can just return this. And let's see if this actually works. I think was that a thing? Let's check our configurations again. Okay, so this was a wrong naming. So we have that construct, and let's see whether that actually works. If that works, let's go ahead and run that and see if we get the same list of keys and values as usual. Enum keys and values using that particular methodology. So we can come to our constants, and let's see our constants and mappings, and try this out and execute. Alright, so this works. Beautiful. And if that is the case, let's come back here and let's do something else. Using this, assuming we mistakenly use this method for something else in the future. So for instance, you notice if I did this, I could do something like this again. And we say accounting type, account types, that's the next thing. Account types, and we can pass in account type here, but let's do this. Let's pass in an account. And account here is a class. And this, let me show you something. Using this domain aggregate account. This actually works, but this is not proper. And this will result in a compile and in a runtime error because there is no values of this. This is not an enumeration. And so doing that means this violates what we want. So let's put a condition here that where T is of type enum. Alright, so that condition will make sure that whoever uses this method, this violates the condition. Alright, so let's make sure that no other thing outside an enumeration is used in this method. That is what I wanted to show you. So let's remove this. And actually we can change this to account types. And because an account type is an enum, that actually is allowed. And we can go ahead and do this again. Just a few lines of instructions. And we can do this for entry types. Entry types. And here we can specify entry type, which is an enum, and we can do this for journal classifications, I think so. Let's go have a look at the domain again so that we are very sure about it. Constructs is journal classification. Alright, so we have journal classifications. We have journal classifications, and we can put in journal classification in here, and we also have journal definitions, so we can copy this and put this for our journal definition. So we have journal definitions, and we can put this for journal definition. And that is good. We have that symbol engine that does the whole mapping for us instead of us to continually do a whole lot of repetitions. And based on that, we can now come to our endpoint configuration, not this construct service, and basically call this method again and again. So for this, we have this methods, and we can go ahead and do this, duplicate this, and just duplicate this again. I think there are 5 of them, and we can come back here. The first one is map accounting period. The second one will definitely be map accounting types, account types, and this is going to be account types. And here we can change this to map account types and make sure we get account types. And that is fair. And here we need to just call in the get account, the account types. And we are good to go, provided list of all account types and their values. And their values. That is the description we need. So we can do this for get entry types. So we can do entry types here, entry types. You can put that for entry types. And we can also do this for journal classification. So we can do journal classifications. And we can do that for journal definitions as well. So just make it simple, just do it all copy and paste. And put all this in lowercase. And copy and paste this. Do all this in lowercase. Sorry about that. And basically that is all we need. And we can come here, we have done for account types. We need to do for mob entry types. So what we can do, I can basically come in here and copy this. And come down. Let's shrink everything at once. Entry types. And that is good to go expanded. And change that to entry types. And change that to entry types. And that is fair. We can go ahead and do for journal classifications. And just copy that and put here for journal classifications. Journal classifications. And we can put journal classifications in here. The same thing we will do for journal definitions. Copy that for journal definitions. Journal definitions. Like we did. And we will come here and put journal definitions here. And the same thing we will do for here. And that is what we need to do. This configuration's done. We've done that actually, and we're done. So let's come to endpoint configurations and just keep chopping them in one by one. So this one will be map get accounting periods. This one will be accounting types. Account types should be the next one. That is there. The next one will be entry types. Entry types, that is there. Then the next one will be journal classification. I think definitions before. Let's just do definitions, classifications at once. And we are good to go. So we have all the constructs ready to use in our system. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 constructs. We have them, and we're good to go. So let's run this and see what we did. So here we have this, and we've done all the constructs. Yeah, we have all the constructs in place, but the definitions are actually wrong. So we have the accounting methods. We could check that out and be sure that is good. Let's go to journal classifications and be sure. Let's go through each and every one of them. Be sure that they're actually returning properly. Right, this is correct. Right, this is correct. And we can go to entry types, and we can actually check that this is actually correct, debit and credit. And we can go to journal classifications, and we can be sure that this is correct. So these are basically what we have, and we have journal definitions, and we can go ahead and check them out and to be sure that these are actually correct. They're correct. All right. So that is basic, and we can close this. And let me come back to the naming or the descriptions we give to those endpoints. So this provides a list of journal definitions and their values. So that is the very first one we'll talk, journal definitions and their values. So the next one actually provides a list of all journal classifications, journal classifications on their values. And the next one would actually be something that provide entry types on their values. The final one will be list of all account types and their values. I think we already did the account types and their values, and that is good. So we can go check finally. We have a full-fledged API, RESTful API service for our TCS accounting application. And so this is the endpoint for accounting application with proper details. So we have the constants and mapping, count types, entry types, and the values. All right, so you already know what we did. So this is just 200, no error, no messages, and that is basically what you need to do. We can add a little description that you can use as parameters to build your own systems, and this is how we map them internally, so that when you're building your own system, you know how to map them yourself. All right, and that is basically what we have done successfully. And let's move on to the next aspect of .NET Associates, which is building a graphical user interface for TCS accounting. Actually, I forgot something very, very important that I forgot to share, and I thought it wise for me to do a little video that I promised that I was going to show you how you can retrieve this connection string and use them in your application. And the ideal thing you do is that typically you will have a configuration file when you're deploying your application, and you need a way of actually, you cannot put this configuration settings in here because you may likely put this on GitHub and expose the credentials for your SQL Server on GitHub. So the ideal thing to do is to have a configuration file where you map these settings to, and that is what I forgot to mention. So to do that, we have an app settings.json file in here, and we need to just specify that we need a property called connection strings. And you can see that's enlisted for us in here. And we can pass in some values for the connection string. So in our case, we're going to use what we call application app connection. Let me use that app connection. And we're going to supply the app connection with some values, as the case may be. So what we will supply is basically this value here. And I'm going to cut this value out and put it in there. So I'll put this value in here. And typically that is what you do traditionally. You have a configuration file that you put your resources, your key, your private connections, specifications, username, password to resources outside the application, and the application will load them and bring them. I'll show you how to do that during runtime. So that is exactly what we need to do, and that is what I forgot to show you. So here we will need to have access to our connection, and that is going to be inside our configuration. A configuration is basically let me see if the builder has access to the configuration. So let's do this. Builder dot configuration. It does have access to it. Dot connection strings. Let's just do get connection string. Get connection string, which is ideal. And here we will pass the value of where the connection string is. It is called app connection. This is the connection string we want to use, and we would inject it here. And basically that is all we need to do to get the connection string for our SQL server. After doing that, you can test out the application again to be sure that everything is working properly, and that is what you need to do in a real production environment. But remember that this series is strictly for you to learn. So I'm showing you all the spaces for you to learn how to get access to resources and get them. So let's hit a service. Let's try out a service that hits the database and actually be sure that that configuration is working. Alright, so that is working, and we can see that we hit the database and get the results out. Alright, I forgot to show you that. My apologies. Hope you enjoy your learning.